Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 18, Text 4, Translation and Commentary by His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Founder Acharya Visco. Vadanti Vishwam Kavayat Smanashvaram, Pashanti Chadhyatma Vido Vipaschita, Tatapi Mohyanti Tavaja Mayaya, Subhismitang Krityam Ajang Nato Smitam. Yes, silk is pure. Yes. O unborn one, learned Vedic scholars who are advanced in spiritual knowledge certainly know that this material world is perishable, as do other logicians and philosophers. In trance they realize the factual position of this world, and they preach the truth as well. Yet even they are sometimes bewildered by your illusory energy. This is your own wonderful pastime. Therefore I can understand that your illusory energy is very wonderful, and I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. This is a verse spoken by Bhadrashrava, who is the ruler of Bhadrashvavarsha, who is offering obeisances to Hayashirsha, Hayagriva avatar. It's very interesting because he's talking about the logicians and philosophers. Generally the Vaishnavas, especially the Sri Vaishnavas, they worship Hayagriva incarnation for the sake of blessings, so they can become expert in philosophy and knowledge. Just as generally materialistic people worship Saraswati, Goddess Saraswati, for material knowledge, so the Vaishnavas, they worship Hayagriva avatar to get the blessing of knowledge, so that they may understand him and preach also. Purport: not only does the illusory energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead act on the conditioned soul within this material world, but sometimes it also acts on the most advanced learned scholars who factually know the constitutional position of this material world through realization. As soon as someone thinks, I am this material body, aham rameti, and everything in relationship with this body is mine, he is in illusion, moha. This illusion caused by the material energy acts especially on the conditioned souls, but it sometimes also acts on liberated souls as well. A liberated soul is a person who has sufficient knowledge of this material world and is therefore unattached to the bodily conception of life. But because of association with the modes of material nature for a very long time, even liberated souls sometimes become captivated by the illusory energy due to inattentiveness in the transcendental position. Therefore Lord Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Mam eva ye prapadyante mayam etang taranti te. Only those who surrender unto me can overcome the influence of the material energy. Therefore, no one should think of himself as a liberated person immune to the influence of Maya. Everyone should very cautiously execute devotional service by rigidly following regulative principles. Thus he will remain fixed at the lotus feet of the Lord. Otherwise, a little inattention will create havoc. We have already seen an example of this in the case of Maharaj Bharat. Maharaj Bharat was undoubtedly a great devotee, but because he turned his attention slightly toward a small deer, he had to suffer 2 more births, one as a deer and another as the Brahmana Jara Bharat. Afterward he was liberated and went back home, back to Godhead. The Lord is always prepared to excuse his devotee, but if a devotee takes advantage of the Lord's leniency and purposefully commits mistakes again and again, the Lord will certainly punish him by letting him fall down into the clutches of the illusory energy. In other words, theoretical knowledge acquired by studying the Vedas is insufficient to protect one from the clutches of Maya. One must strongly adhere to the lotus feet of the Lord in devotional service, then one's position is secure. There are many wonderful verses in the scriptures. All the verses are wonderful. I especially chose this one. I was thinking to speak on that one. Sanskrit Ananda was appreciating that. Kechit Kevalaya Bhaktya Vasudeva. There's so much important information in that verse and the purport also. But then I was just reading here, it struck me how this always happens, how some question comes up in our discussion with devotees, or some doubt or some thought about the philosophy comes in our minds, and then very often this happens, and we read, and even though we've read many times, just exactly the answer is given there in Shastra. Krishna is not different from Bhagavatam. Bhagavatam is Krishna. Prabhupada writes in an early purport, early in the first canto of Bhagavatam, that by studying the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is just the same as getting the personal association of Krishna, because this is Krishna in literary form. One who hears properly Srimad Bhagavatam can see Krishna present in every page, in every line, in every word. So this question came up just 2 days ago. The question is coming up a lot about the fall down of a person who is advanced in spiritual knowledge and advanced in spiritual life. How is it possible? Here the answer is very clearly given, that even learned Vedic scholars who are advanced in spiritual knowledge certainly know that this material world is perishable, as do other logicians and philosophers. In trance, they realize the factual position of this world. In other words, someone who's in trance, that word is derived from samadhi. Jai Hare Krishna. Samadhi, we generally think of a yogi sitting with his eyes closed, but samadhi doesn't necessarily mean that. Samadhi means to be fully on the platform of transcendental realization. So in trance, they realize the factual position of this world, and they preach the truth as well. Yet even they are sometimes bewildered by your illusory energy. This is your own wonderful pastime. Therefore I can understand that your illusory energy is very wonderful, and I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. In Bhagavatam we also find that even Krishna finds his own Maya is very wonderful. Is amazing how Maya acts. When all the cowherd boyfriends of Krishna entered Aghasura's mouth, then Krishna was amazed. They're all in Maya. How could they do that? They saw the big snake is there with his mouth open, and they thought, this must be another demon. There's another, how wonderful Maya is, that people think this is pleasure, to ride around on horrible motorbikes. And Maya is so wonderful. So the Aghasura demon was there with his mouth open, and all the cowherd boys were discussing among themselves, this is another demon come to kill us. He wants us to enter his mouth. Okay, let's go, let's have some fun. Krishna will protect us. So Krishna was amazed. Who will walk into the mouth? If some huge snake is there, we can't even imagine such a big snake. Who will walk into his mouth? Who will do such a thing? And they did. So Krishna was amazed at the activity of even Krishna was amazed at the activity of his own Maya. Now, Prabhupada writes in the purport that illusion caused by the material energy acts especially on the conditioned souls, but it sometimes also acts on liberated souls as well. Conditioned souls, they are covered by Maya's potency in the form of avaranatmika shakti. That means everyone is covered by Maya. Everyone is thinking, I am an illusion. Everyone is in the illusion of thinking, I am this body. But there is another phase of Maya for catching those who are already getting free from her clutches. Prakshepatmika Shakti, which Prabhupada described. It says avaranatmika means literally covering, covering. Avaran means covering. But Prabhupada described Prakshepatmika Shakti as throwing potency. When you come out, she get back, throw you back. kick you back. So, how is it possible that Maya can act on a liberated soul? Because liberated means he's liberated from thinking, I am this body and everything in relationship with this body is mine. Prabhupada describes, what is the meaning of a liberated soul? A liberated soul is a person who has sufficient knowledge of this material world and is therefore unattached to the bodily conception of life. But, here comes this but, important but. Because of association with the modes of material nature for a very long time, even liberated souls sometimes become captivated by the illusory energy due to inattentiveness in the transcendental position. So even in the transcendental position, one has to be careful. Transcendental position means to be engaged in Krishna's service, to be free from attraction to this material world. But we are in the material world, and we are living beings, we're not dull stones. So as long as we're surrounded by the material atmosphere, we're in a dangerous position. Therefore, if we're not careful to maintain our transcendental position, then there are two things. Krishna Surya Shama, Maya Hoy Andhaka. Jaha Krishna Taha Nahi Maya Ratika. Krishna is like the sun. Where there is sun, there is light. Where there is no light, there is darkness. So either you're in Krishna consciousness or you're in Maya. Of course there are shades of grey also between the blackness of Maya and the darkness of Maya and the light of pure Krishna consciousness. There are shades of grey, but basically, what are those shades? Those shades mean, the shades of grey means someone is partially in Krishna consciousness, but he's also affected by the illusory energy of Krishna. Therefore, even in the transcendental position, someone should be most attentive. Therefore, no one should think of himself as a liberated person immune to the influence of Maya. As soon as someone thinks, I'm liberated, then he's got a lot of problems. Everyone should very cautiously execute devotional service by rigidly following regulated principles. Very cautiously. Rigidly. What adverbs Prabhupada is using? Very cautiously execute devotional service by rigidly following regulated principles. Thus he will remain fixed at the lotus feet of the Lord. Otherwise, a little inattention will create havoc. And the example is given here of Maharaj Bharat, who was following the regulated principles very carefully, but even he had a little inattention and it caused havoc. Now what was the situation of Maharaj Bharat? That's already described here. Let us just consider what a great devotee he was, according to this description of Bhagavatam. In the gardens of Pulaha Ashram, Maharaj Bharat lived alone and collected a variety of flowers, twigs and tulsi leaves. He also collected the water of the Gandaki river, as well as various roots, fruits and bulbs. With these, he offered food to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vasudeva, and worshipping him, he remained satisfied. In this way, his heart was completely uncontaminated, and he did not have the least desire for material enjoyment. All material desires vanished. In this steady position, he felt full satisfaction and was situated in devotional service. That most exalted devotee, Maharaj Bharat, in this way engaged constantly in the devotional service of the Lord. Naturally, his love for Vasudeva, Krishna, increased more and more and melted his heart. Consequently, he gradually lost all attachment for regulated duties. The hairs of his body stood on end, and all the ecstatic bodily symptoms were manifest. Tears flowed from his eyes, so much so that he could not see anything. Thus he constantly meditated on the reddish lotus feet of the Lord. At that time his heart, which was like a lake, was filled with the water of ecstatic love. When his mind was immersed in that lake, he even forgot the regulative service to the Lord. So he started off following the regulated principles, but due to his absorption in ecstasy in the service of Krishna, he forgot the regulated principles. He was on the platform of bhava, which is just prior to the platform of full prema. He was on the platform of ecstasy prior to the platform of complete love of Krishna. Then, as we all know the story, incidentally he became attached to a deer. Because it's naturally what he did, he should have done. The deer, the female deer, jumped over the river, hearing the sound of the lion roaring close by, and as she jumped, because for pregnant women, especially those who are in later stage of pregnancy, jerky or sudden movements or anxiety, that should be avoided. So she had not exactly miscarriage, but she gave birth. Her child deer fell out of her body as she jumped over the river, and she fell down dead. So Maharaj Bharat, naturally, he saw the deer, the child is just born, floating in the water, he took out, and there's no one to look after. So he took the deer out, but then what should he have done? He thought no one is there to protect the deer. Now a young baby needs full attention, a young baby of any species, especially the mammals like that, maybe the fish, only by seeing they maintain their children. But you see even the dogs, the pigs even, how much attention they give to their young children. So a young child needs a lot of attention, and the nature of a child being so much dependent that the parents, it's almost like the relationship between God and His devotee, that the devotee is absolutely dependent on the Supreme Lord, and depends on the Lord for everything, has no other protector. So in this way, someone who becomes a parent, they have to give full attention to their children, and then there's some kind of exchange of feeling, that is a feeling of love. And in this way, the parents, they have a feeling almost like, I am God, I am the protector of this living being. So aham mameti janasya mohoyam aham mameti, I am this body, and because it's on the bodily platform, therefore that increases. So Maharaj Bharat was undoubtedly a great devotee, but because he turned his attention slightly toward a small deer, he had to suffer 2 more births. He was undoubtedly a great devotee, but his attention got diverted. So much so that after some time he became actually insane. He was talking that how exalted is this planet Earth, how fortunate is this planet Earth because this deer is placing its footsteps on this earth, which is madness. There's no connection with reality whatsoever, but that is the nature of illusions. That one thinks in terms of that which is dear to him on the bodily platform as being most exalted. Janani janma bhumischa swargameva gariyashi. One thinks, my mother, my dear mother, and my land of birth, they are so wonderful. Everyone thinks, my land of birth is so wonderful. Whatever country you're born in, even if it's the most miserable place in the world, like Russia, I have to say. It's a very, don't mind, it's a very miserable place. Just, there's no beautiful scenery, at least what I've seen, just miles of forest, and it's all, there's no, at least in modern city, there's no aestheticism whatsoever. They put the power station right in the middle of the city, and people are miserable, and it's dark and cold, but people are thinking, we are Russians, and it's so wonderful to be a Russian. Everywhere, in Bangladesh, Amar Shona Bangla, Ami Tomai Bhalobashi, my dear golden Bengal, I love you. So everyone is thinking, Jai Hind, Mera Bharat Mahan, my India is great, it's a great mess, there's no doubt. Mera Bharat Mahan, Garv se kaho, hum Hindu hai. Say with pride, we are Hindus. So everyone is proud. This is Maya. It's not expected that a great devotee would also get into such Maya, but Maya is very powerful. Even Even a great devotee, Maharaj Bharat was undoubtedly a great devotee, but he fell into Maya. Now how can that happen? The Lord is always prepared to excuse his devotee, but if a devotee takes advantage of the Lord's leniency and purposefully commits mistakes again and again, the Lord will certainly punish him by letting him fall down into the clutches of the illusory energy. Now still it's seen in the case of Jar Bharat that even though Krishna, he didn't excuse him from his mistake of becoming attached to a deer, because there's a science of Bhakti Yoga. Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Prabhupada has translated as the nectar of devotion, the complete science of Bhakti Yoga. It means there are certain principles that if followed, you progress, and there are certain principles that there is that which is favorable for devotional service and that which is not favorable. Therefore, anukulyasya sankalpa pratikulyasya varjanam. We should understand that which is favorable for advancement, and we should understand that which is not favorable, and we should act in such a way. So it's a science, it's not simply a sentiment. If you act in a certain way, then you become advanced. And if you act in a certain way that is against the principles of devotional service, then you don't become advanced. Or even if you are advanced, if you think, now I'm so advanced that it doesn't matter all these things, I don't have to follow, then you lose your advancement. Krishna, he doesn't allow that you can. In the Bible there's a saying, it's translated as this, that God, he is a jealous God. I was always wondering what that meant. I heard that at school. What does it mean he's jealous? But like that, Krishna says, Sarvadhaman parityaja mam ekam sharanam vraja. You surrender to me only. He doesn't like that you worship demigods. What to mention worshipping a deer? Even if you think the demigods are equal to the Supreme Lord, yastu narayanam devam brahmarudra didaivatai sanatvenaiva viksheta sapashandi bhavedruvam. Even if you think a great demigod like Brahma or Shiva is equal to Lord Narayana, then you are pashandi, rejected, rascal, bogus, demon. What's the word? How do you say pashandi in English? Atheist, badmash, rascal. So similarly, if one thinks, now that may manifest itself in different ways. The common mistake in Hindu culture is to equate the Supreme Lord with demigods. But in the Western world they have also their own kind of demigods. Materialistic philosophers, great thinkers, influential authors, writers, management gurus, New Age gurus, all kinds of people. There are so many people. We can find so many books and so many people giving advice in different ways, how you should live, how you should act. But a devotee, he simply sticks to Shastra. What does Shastra say? How should we act? We should act according to Shastra. What is that verse? Ya Shastra Vidimutsya Tasmat Shastram Pramanam Te Karya Karyam Vyavastito. Therefore, one should act according to Shastra. It's very clear. That we read this morning also is very important. Again, the same thing. When you're reading Prabhupada's books again and again, you get confirmation of the principles that we were reading. Prabhupada is very strongly establishing how you have to follow Shastra. He was saying that in relationship to Mayavad, how impersonalism cannot be accepted because it is against the whole tenor of the Shastra. How Sankhya philosophy cannot be accepted because it is against the tenor of the Shastra. So similarly that can be applied to, there may be so many philosophies which become popular, but if they're Shastra Viruddha, if they're against the conclusion of the Shastra, then they cannot be accepted. So we should be very careful. It's not that because Jar Bharat fell down that Everyone fell down. That's another misconception which is coming up, which is also against the Shastra, because Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, this is the Shastra, that Bahavo Gyana Tapasa Putamad Bhavam Agataha, that many persons in the past, Krishna says, many persons in the past became purified by knowledge and tapasya, austerity, and came to me. So it's not that everyone has to go away, but that requires also a proper understanding to remain faithful on the path of devotional service, as Krishna also says in Bhagavad Gita, Ashadadhana Purusha Dharmasyasya Parantapa Aprapyamang Nivartante Mrityu Samsara Vartmani. Those who do not maintain their faith in devotional service, they do not attain me. They come back again to this material world. So one has to maintain his faith through everything. Again, this morning we were discussing the Pandavas, how they went through unbelievable difficulties. I mean, really, who could tolerate so many difficulties, one thing after another? Even one thing, if you went through, that would shake you up for your... One thing that they went through would shake anyone for their whole life. But if their brother was poisoned, or they were all supposed to be burned alive, even then, Yudhishthira, he was so liberal-minded. He was always open to Duryodhana and always willing to think the best of him. Even the Kauravas, they were all arrested by the Gandharvas, but Yudhishthira and Bhima thought, great, this is wonderful. They're all arrested by what we could have only achieved with much difficulty, the Gandharvas have already done for us. They arrested all the Kauravas. The Kauravas insulted the Gandharvas. But Yudhishthira said, no, they are our brothers. We should fight with the Gandharvas and free them. And Yudhishthira was so open-minded. He went through so many difficulties. But the Pandavas, they never even slightly gave up their faith in Krishna. They had complete faith in Krishna throughout everything. And even at the end of, when they'd been through so many difficulties, right, even after the battle of Kurukshetra, again, Ashwatthama, what a horrible thing. After the battle was over, he went and whoever was alive, practically, including all sleeping, he killed them all in their sleep. Unheard of. No one could imagine such a thing. And then, even then he wasn't satisfied. He threw a Brahmastra to destroy Parikshit. He's such an envious person. But despite such difficulties, which are practically unheard of for anybody, Kunti Devi was praying that let there be difficulties because we want to remember you. We want to remember you, Krishna. There's an interesting point that Ashwatthama, he is still alive on this planet. And even he, the most wretchedly behaved person, he is now performing tapasya in the Himalayas. And after some time, he will become one of the rishis, one of the Sapta rishis. So even such a person can become purified. So at this point, we should remain faithful on the path of devotional service. And careful also. We should have faith in Krishna, that whatever is happening, we may not be able to understand. But still we should have faith that ultimately Krishna is in control. The Pandavas, if they stop to think about it, if they try to logically formulate, why is it that we're going through so many difficulties? Krishna is personally present in this world. He's our friend. Why does he allow all these things to happen? One thing after another. Why does he allow it? They didn't question that. They just accepted whatever was their fate and went on with their service to Krishna. Krishna had his plan. Tatenu kampan susanikshamano bhunjana evatna kritang vipakam vidvagva pubhir vidhan namaste Jiveta yo muktipade sadaya bhag. This Lord Brahma has analyzed that anyone who has such an attitude that whatever may happen, I must go on with my service to Krishna. I won't give that up under any circumstances. Even so many difficulties come, we think, well, I deserve it. But such a person, if he goes on serving the Lord with mind, body and words, then such a person is guaranteed to get Krishna's mercy. Krishna will not deny such a person his mercy. So we should be careful in devotional service, confident of Krishna's protection, but at the same time not take it for granted. We should act in such a way that Krishna will be pleased with us, and not think that now I've become so advanced I can do whatever I like. No, there are rules and regulations of devotional service that we should follow very carefully. The rules and regulations of devotional service, they're mostly based around hearing and chanting about Krishna. Hearing and chanting. And of course, our service to Krishna must be there. Especially in the modern age, hearing and chanting it's not recommended only to hear and chant for one's own benefit, but he should also with them. He is blessed. So, here are some important points which we can consider also, because any verse of Bhagavatam, actually you could write, we have this Bhagavatam in 18 volumes, 18,000 verses in 18 volumes, but even one verse you can have 18 volumes this big. And it's not that the purport gives the essential understanding, but there's so much to be discussed. Just like this verse, now I'm speaking on it, but we could call 500 other devotees and ask them to speak on it also, and they'd all give their own realizations, because realization of Krishna and the philosophy of Krishna consciousness is unlimited. Krishna is unlimited. So we should study and also consider what is the subject matter. In this way, keep our attention focused on the goal of life, which is to attain to the lotus feet of Krishna. And even if we are advancing or advanced on the path of attaining the lotus feet of Krishna, we should still be very, very careful. As Prabhupada writes in one purport in the Bhagavad Gita, there can be accidents even on the royal roads, even on a good road, good wide road, such as you don't see in this country. And even on a good road, with dry road, clear vision, good driver, safe car, even then there may be an accident. So we should be very careful. Hare Krishna. So any question, please?
When you explained that the different tests which Pandavas went through, how do we actually understand them? This is all for Krishna understand, it teaches in various ways, like the same thing with things happening at the moment also, like how do we understand them?
There are different ways to understand. We know that the Pandavas are great devotees. How do we know? Devotee will be understood by testing. This kind of test brings out the greatness of a devotee. Otherwise, how will you understand how much they're attached to Krishna unless that's shown? Anyone may say, I love Krishna, but that will be seen. If someone, even in the midst of tremendous difficulties, never gives up their faith in Krishna, then it will be actually seen how great a devotee he is. Prahlad Maharaj, how can you know how great a devotee he is? Because he kept steadily his faith in Krishna, wasn't disturbed, even when anyone else would be absolutely disturbed. He remained undisturbed. So that's one reason. Another reason is, as Kunti Devi herself said afterwards, please give us more difficulties. If there are difficulties, we remember you more. There are different reasons also. That Krishna was just of course, all this takes place within the kaleidoscope of Krishna's pastimes. So there are so many pastimes Krishna had to perform. So certain things were needed, certain arrangements were there by Krishna's external energy acting under the direction of Krishna's internal energy, arranged so many things for Krishna's pastimes. Otherwise, if nothing happens, if just everyone sits down and gets up in the morning and eats some idlis and goes back to sleep again, then where is the Leela of Krishna? It has to be something exciting. These pastimes are there, that's just to show, unless those example is there, how will we, who are just trying to be devotees, how will we get any enthusiasm, inspiration? If there's little difficulty, we think, oh, what's the use of this Krishna bhakti? But then if we see how the Pandavas, they went through so much more difficulty than us, because the material world is such, it's full of difficulties. That is the very nature of the material world. So the example in the lives of the great devotees, practically all the devotees you read about, Dhruv Maharaj, Ambarish Maharaj, they all went through so many difficulties. So their lives are recorded to give us enthusiasm, to give us inspiration, to give us confidence, to give us determination, to follow in their footsteps.
Maharaj, is it necessary that one should analyze which position he is in as far as advancement is concerned?
Direction, the Shastra gives so many different understandings, so that is there. We should see what is our position. Generally, we tend to think we're more advanced than we are. There are certain tests, yes, we should see. At the same time, a devotee shouldn't be overly disappointed if he's not advanced as he would like to be. On one hand, he should be praying to Krishna, please help me to make more advancement. On the other hand, he should have confidence that if I simply stick with this process, Krishna will help me. Not become disappointed. And not think that because I've been practicing so much time and still I have so many anarthas, unwanted things in my heart, therefore become disappointed and go away. I think it's hopeless. No, there's always hope. In English there's that saying, well, there's life, there's hope. So as long as there's any life of Krishna consciousness, there's hope. Krishna will help us. That again, faith in Krishna. Krishna will help us. We have to become more and more conscious of Krishna. Krishna conscious means to be conscious of Krishna. That we're chanting Hare Krishna, we're talking about Krishna, but actually to understand that Krishna really is a person. It's not just some dogma that we are stating. Some dogma that we don't like him, personless. We're personless. It's not simply a dogma. Krishna is a person, and he'll personally act in our lives to help us. He is doing that. And we see that again and again. How did we ever come to this Krishna consciousness in the first place? Because of Krishna's helping. We can see how Krishna is acting in our lives. If we surrender to Krishna, Mameva ye prapadyante, Mayametam tarantite. If we actually give ourselves to Krishna or make some endeavors in that regard, then Krishna will help us. We should be conscious, see Krishna's hand in everything, how Krishna is helping in so many ways. Similarly, you were saying about some disturbances in our movement. Well, yes, in many ways it's inconceivable. Just like for the Pandavas, even Bhishma Dev said, it's inconceivable. How could the Pandavas, they're the personifications of righteousness. And the Supreme Personality of Godhead, their friend is personally present, still they went through so many difficulties. It's inconceivable. But Krishna has his plan. We may not know what it is, but still we have to. It's not that we can go outside Krishna consciousness, that won't help us. Anything else? Any other discussion on this point?
So they will come and Ramarajya will be there. Are you hopeful the world will change? There will be any...
We're hopeful, yes, but not simply hope. You should do something also. You should act in such a way that Ram will be pleased. Then Ram will like to come. But if we want to smoke, drink, watch nonsense videos on TV, then why will Ram come? We have to do something to invite Ram to come. Therefore, we have the Krishna consciousness movement that is meant for creating an atmosphere of the spiritual world. In Ram Rajya, what is everyone doing? You think all the Ayodhya Vasis, they're watching TV up till 2 o'clock in the morning? Oh. No, they're constantly Satatam Kirtayanto Mang Yatantascha Drida Vrataha Namaskyantascha Mang Bhaktya Nitya Yukta Upasate. The pure devotees, Ram Bhaktas or Krishna Bhaktas, they're constantly engaged in glorifying Krishna with great determination. They are Nitya Yukta Upasaks. They're always engaged in the worship of Krishna or Rama. So, if we do like that, then Ram Rajya will automatically be there. But we can't expect that we will have Ram Rajya and he will come and sort out all our problems. And we will go on simply enjoying life in a sinful way. That's not possible. In the modern age, Lord Ram has come as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and is preaching, chant Hare Krishna. Nam hoite hoy sarva jagate anishta. Kali kali nam rupe Krishna avatar. Nam hoite hoy sarva jagate anishta. Krishna has come in this Kali Yuga in his Nam Rup, form of the name. You have to chant Hare Krishna. Then the world can be delivered. So you should chant Hare Krishna. Now is Kali Kal. It's a very bad time.
This will last how many years?
This Kali Yuga, it will last for another 427,000 years. Then it will be finished, but then it will come again. It's always coming again and again. And even Kali Kal is a very bad time, but even the Satya Yuga, it's all inauspicious. The whole material world is inauspicious. Even any situation in the material world, it's all inauspicious. What is the nature of the material world? Janma Mrityu Jaya Vyadhi. So we say Ram Rajya, but the real Ram Rajya is in the spiritual world, where there's no birth, death, old age and disease. So this material world by its very nature is inauspicious. Usually we see written outside the office or the shop, Shubh, Labh. But in this material world everything is Ashubh. Shubh means we will be happy, we will be healthy, there won't be any quarrel in the home. And Labh means we shall have enough money to enjoy. But everything in this material world is Ashubh, because if you have to die, where is the auspiciousness? You may say, my home is very nice, but tomorrow a gang will come with a machine gun and shoot everybody and steal everything. Then where is the Shubh? If you all have to... But that is exactly what is happening. Is all have to die. And whatever Labh is there, after some time there is Hani. Whatever you get is all gone. So the real shubh is to think of Krishna, remember Krishna. And the real labh is if you get Krishna bhakti. So this Krishna consciousness movement is meant for teaching this principle. It's not simply by starting some political party you can have Ram Rajya. And not just by talking about it. You have to do something also. You should chant Hare Krishna. That will help you. Then we will see if Krishna is pleased. Now we have democratic government. So if enough people become Krishna conscious, then they'll vote for devotee leader. But basically the leaders, they are saying, we will provide you so many material facilities. And whoever you vote for, it doesn't make any difference, practically. It's all bad situation. You see, even there's so much garbage in the streets. So, what is the government, what is the municipality doing? In the land of Bharat Bhumi, where Govinda has come, and they're killing so many cows, it's going on, slaughtering so many animals. On every street corner there is a sign, abortion, only 150 rupees, everywhere. How sinful they have become. Previously it was considered auspicious in India to have children. Now they say, we too, ours one. We don't want children. Kill them. So India has become practically the most sinful country. Because in other countries they may not even know these things are wrong. But in India they know, still they're doing. In India people know that drinking, smoking, illicit sex, gambling, they know these things are wrong, still they're doing. Therefore they are more sinful. And how can you expect Ram Rajya? So start with yourself. Chant Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Anything else? Any other point?
The people who are from abroad, they follow the culture and system of Indian nation.
Hare Krishna. Some of us are trying to do so, yes.
And the entire system of Indian culture is going away from them.
Yes.
What is the reason behind it? Why they are...
There may be many reasons. I've analyzed this in detail, taking quotes from Srila Prabhupada in one book I've made. If you like to read, you can get that book. It's called A Message to the Youth of India. There are many reasons. Basically you can say it's Maya. Everyone in this world is interested in Maya. That the influence of Kali is there. There are many reasons. I've given that in detail. One thing is the government. The government in this, when India got so-called independence, they should have declared Vedic culture, Krishna Bhakti, as the national culture. But instead they said, we've had too much, religion has spoiled India. Now we should have factories, isn't it? That was the new culture. Actually Gandhi, we're not saying Gandhi was perfect in all ways, but he wanted the village culture, which was that village culture with Krishna Bhakti that nourishes spiritual life. But the city culture, by the very nature, it spoils all traditional values. That people come, they live, you have to live in as few people, crush the people in. That means you don't want a joint family, you just have the Hum tu hamare ek. A small family, they don't want big families, too much problem. Then all people come together. What are they going to do in the city? Traditionally people in the village, there's no electricity. At night what will they do? They'll listen to Ramayana or chant some bhajans. That is the traditional culture. I've seen Probably, maybe even more than you, because I traveled in the villages in India and Bangladesh. Even those days there was no electricity. How the people automatically, when it becomes dark, they start chanting Hare Krishna. Now what do? Some smoking, drinking, gambling, fighting, cinema, TV, all these things. So the whole modern way of life is there. There are so many influences. You can read that book. You should read that book. Do you have any copy here? There's one copy right in that bean bag. Whose is that? That's analyzed in this. But there is an antidote. Maya is very powerful. Much more powerful than us. But more powerful than Maya is Krishna. So we have to if we want to become free from these influences, we should bring Krishna into our lives by chanting Hare Krishna. Otherwise you're going to be a victim of this horrible society. And not only you, your children, they're all going to be monsters, I can tell you right now. Because it's the same thing in the Western world. Our generation, that our parents, they expected obedience from us as they had been obedient to their parents. But under the influence of TV, you see, just like, I don't see, but people tell me, how the young people are growing up in India now. Who are they following? What are their role models? The movie heroes who are all rogues and rascals. But if you can punch someone in the face very expertly and break the law and be corrupt and so many I don't want to say, then you become a hero. That's considered. This is what they're following. This is what they see. So don't expect that your children are going to be. You have children and you go to the Purohit and get some blessing, and they're all going to be savages, because the modern life, it's concrete jungle. The city is called concrete jungle. It's more dangerous than the jungle. The jungle with tigers and lions, that's dangerous, but the city is more dangerous. You see, the cities now in the West, if anyone goes out at night in New York City, they're considered, they must be crazy. Either they're a rogue or they're crazy. Because if anyone's not a rogue, he'll be attacked by the rogues. The rogues are just looking for some innocent tourist or something to attack them. In Bombay also, it's a very common thing. Bombay, Delhi, people, they're just going on the streets. No women will wear the gold or anything unless they're crazy. They'll have their ear cut off, finger cut off. It's a common thing. Businessman is driving in his car, at the red light, machine gun, there, finished. In Bombay, it's every day practically. Why? Because Kam, Krodh, Lobh, this has been promoted more and more. Everything is, in modern life, everything is promoted by Kam, lust. To sell toothpaste. What is toothpaste? It's just to brush it, just to get your teeth clean. Every toothpaste is sold with how you will smile nicely to attract some young boy or young girl, isn't it? Everything. A car is just it's a tin box. We're going from here to there, but it's all sold on the basis of prestige, which again comes to the same thing. Kama. Krodh. This again, TV. What is this? All TV is only Kam, Krodh and Lobh, nothing else. Kam, Krodh, all anger, fighting, and then Lobh. Buy this, buy that, buy something else. So how can you expect that your children, if they're brought up on this, Kamas, Krodhas, Tata, Lobhas, Tasmat, Etat, Trayang, Tyajet, Trividang Narakasyedam, Dwaram, Nashanam, Atmana. In Gita, Krishna says there are 3 gates to hell. Kam, Krodh and Lobh. Therefore an intelligent person should give them up. The whole Indian culture is meant for giving up Kam, Krodh and Lobh. The modern culture, or lack of culture, I call it anti-culture. That is meant for promoting these things. So how can you expect any goodness? If you at all want to have any hope for your family, you should chant Hare Krishna and teach your children to do so also. Let them have different values. You should understand very clearly this modern culture. I was saying this morning that Indian culture is meant for manpower export to Vaikuntha. But modern culture is manpower export to hell. That's all. Really, it's not only, they're not only to hell in the next life, but even in this life, it's just like hell. In the city, there's so many horrible noises and bad smells and violence, crime.
How can we develop into that?
What do you mean by development? Do you think development means to have more stinking factories to pollute the whole atmosphere? What are your needs? Roti, kapra, makan. That is provided by nature. Real development means to develop your consciousness. Everything was there. You see, such wonderful books were being promoted previously in Indian culture. And even materially, why the British, the Portuguese, the French, the Dutch were coming here? Why? They weren't coming for this, for Srimad Bhagavatam. They were coming because India was rich. With the Arabs, the Persians, the Turks, they're all coming here. Why? Because India was rich by following her own culture. Even materially, you won't be bereft. There's a big illusion that you have to develop factories and machines, and then that is development. But what development? Previously, all the women in India, men also, used to wear so much jewelry. Now what have they got? Some plastic bangles. So what is that? How is that development? Now they have this plastics, nylon saris, and if they're cooking, finished immediately. That's considered development. Is that actually development? Even materially not development, and spiritually degraded, and become degraded. So that's a big illusion. Industrialize or perish. That was the slogan in the 1950s. Industrialize or perish. So they industrialized, the whole culture has perished. They industrialized, then they perished. Unfortunate. India is the most unfortunate country because they had greatest culture and they're simply thrown it out, rejected. Now so many people from around the world are looking to India for spiritual leadership, as they know, because this modern way of life is producing so many problems. It's absolutely unnatural to live in cities with water coming in pipes and electricity and everything, machine. You live in some building on the 50th story, you have to go up by some machine. It's completely unnatural. No space. Simply everyone's crammed in some little... I've seen in Bombay, rich people, they live in such tiny apartments, and this is for the rich people. And you go in the toilet and you can hardly close the door, there's no space to move. Really, it's like that. And they all have big dogs barking so no one can sleep at night. That's considered very prestigious. Such a good culture they had. Now love marriage, divorce, all this is not coming, come. And the next thing that will be prestigious, to have a divorce. Already is, yeah. Only the advanced, progressive people have divorces, you see. This is my first son from my first marriage, this is my second son from my second marriage, and this is my third husband. I wrote another book about traditional Indian culture, if you like to see that also. Do we have any copy of that here? Oh. If you like, you can see that. Do you have these books? Are you a life member of ISKCON? You have these books?
Yes, I am.
Are you reading them?
Yeah, I'm doing it.
Good, very good.
what step the ISKCON people can take to involve more youth in this movement? Because we have some problem.
You sure do. You have lots of problems with the youth, with the middle-aged people, with all the people. Yes?
Some middle-aged students from the schools or colleges, they are more interested in coming for this organization, this consciousness, because they accept. But
yeah, they're interested.
The elders in the house, they are not telling that Krishna is only the God. See, we are following all demigods.
Yeah.
See how sometimes the students, they are not allowed to come this organization also, because
Maybe, yeah.
there will be ISKCON is promoting Krishna consciousness. Krishna is only for North India, not for South India.
That's another Maya.
Another thing also they are telling.
There are so many ways to avoid Krishna, with so many different things.
Some elderly, oldest people, about 65, 70 years people are so telling, why we want to follow Krishna consciousness? There are so many, they are telling about the philosophy that you take example of Lord Shiva. Krishna praying for Lord Shiva and he is giving all this and that things. So you are telling about Krishna, the supreme personality, but I have to follow the Krishna, Lord Shiva.
Definitely, if we preach Krishna consciousness, there will be others who will preach other things. But we are following Shastra. We are not, just because there's someone who's 65 years old says something different, does it mean we should follow? Is there any logical reason why, because if someone happens to be 65 years old, we should listen to what they say? Rather, we should take knowledge from those who are knowledgeable in knowledge of the truth. Tattvadarshi, tadviti pranipatena, pariprashnena sevaya, upadakshanti te jnanam, jnaninas tattvadarshina. We should approach those who are tattvadarshi to understand what is the actual truth. And those who are tattva adarshi, those who have not seen the truth, they will say, everyone thinks I am tattvadarshi. Everyone thinks I know what is best. So those who do not follow Guru, Sadhu, Shastra, they will also give some opinion. Someone will say you should worship so many gods. Someone will say, why do you worship any gods? There's no God. There's some newspaper there that says, Sachin Vandanam or something like this. I think it's in Telugu, Vandachi or something like this. We should worship Sachin. That means this guy, for his expertise in hitting a ball with a piece of wood. So many people have so many different theories, but we should follow what Shastra says. In South India they say, why follow Krishna? Krishna is a North Indian god. In North India they'll have another excuse. They'll say, this is an American organization. In America they'll say, why you follow this? This is Indian. There are so many excuses. There are so many excuses.
In America there is a saying that excuses are like elbows. Everyone has two, at least two.
Is it? I never heard that one.
What is that?
Excuses are like elbows. Everyone has at least two. Get out of my way. Why don't you go get a few books?
This Dwapar Krishna Lila started when how many years old? 10,000 years or 6,000?
What do you mean? I can't follow exactly what is the question.
This Krishna's Lila in India, it was how many years old? As per present.
Krishna appeared in this world at the end of Dwapara Yuga, which is approximately 5,000 years ago. Of course, the modern Indologists, they have different theories. But according to Shastra, it's very clear. It's 5,000 years ago. There are so many different theories. But we like to follow Shastra, because Shastra means that which is given by Krishna, that is infallible. And that which is given by conditioned soul, that means people who don't follow Shastra, who are under the modes of material nature, who are influenced by Maya, then Brahm, Pramad, Vipralipsa, Karana Patal. They have 4 basic mistakes, 4 basic defects. Everyone in the material world, every conditioned, that means Maya Baddha jeev, they make mistakes, they're in illusion, Brahm, Pramad, Vipralipsa, Karana, they have imperfect senses and the tendency to cheat others. So everyone makes mistakes. Even Mahatma Gandhi, he was told, don't go to the prayer meeting today, there is danger. He didn't believe it. He was shot. Everyone is in illusion. Everyone is thinking, I am this body. Happiness will be achieved if I can get more money, if I can have a healthy body, all these things. Then imperfect senses, either we perceive something wrongly or we misunderstand what we perceive. I may see from a distance, I may see there's a big pond of water, but it may be simply a reflection, mirage. Or even if I see something correctly, I may misunderstand. Just like in science, they see so many things and then they interpret, but many times the interpretation is wrong. That's why people have great faith in modern science, but often the theory is completely wrong. Even different scientists say different things. I saw something in the newspaper a few years ago. One scientist said that the theory, that it's widely accepted theory, that the blood goes out from the heart, through the veins and comes back through the arteries, or vice versa, I can't remember. He said that actually in both of them it's flowing both ways. Some theory, I don't know if it was accepted. Even over a very basic thing. Then tendency to cheat others. Even though we don't know, we like to pose ourselves as if we do know. Just like the scientists, they like to say that everything has evolved from matter. There's no proof, but still they teach it in the schools as if it was true. Although there's absolutely no proof whatsoever. If it was scientific, they should be able to, if they know that life comes from matter, they should be able to take some chemicals and make it into some living being, but they can't do it. Not only can't they do it, but they're nowhere even close to doing anything slightly close to making matter, but still they like to present as if they know, even though they don't know. Once I saw a magazine in which it was said that now scientists, because even by their own theories, they understand that their evolutionary theory can't stand. Originally they had the theory that on this earth there was some so-called primordial soup which bubbled for some time, and then from the bubbly chemical soup, some cells were formed, and then they made some kind of fish, and then they crawled onto the land and became lizards, and then after some time they stood up, and then after some time one of them became Darwin and made evolutionary theory. So they, even by their own stupid standards, they found that they can't, it doesn't stand. You can't, from what they have observed, this evolutionary theory is bunkum. So in this magazine I saw, it said that now scientists believe, very scientific, believe, that life arrived on Earth by meteorites. Meteorites. Now science, this is the first sentence, and then the whole big article, several pages in the magazine. This happened so many years ago, and then this happened, and then that happened, and it's all just based on the first thing scientists believe. On what basis? They know. It's all just absolutely speculation without any evidence whatsoever. This is called science. It's called cheating, actually. They teach you that science means that which is observable by hypothesis and experimentation. But they have only hypothesis. Now some things, of course, they can make by modern science from crude oil you can make so many polymers, polyesters, fuels, and so many things. All right. Give credit where credit is due. If there's any credit for doing that, we don't really need all these things. If the oil remained where it was, life would still go on. But when they say that we were giving you knowledge of how life has come, and life has come from matter, and without any evidence whatsoever, then that's simply cheating. So we take knowledge from Shastra, which is Brahma Brahmad Vipralipsa Karana Patav Aja Bhigya Bhakya Nahi Dosh Shab. Those who are advanced in transcendental knowledge, they don't have these defects, because they take knowledge from Shastra, free from these defects. Unfortunately, in modern India, people have become mesmerized by so-called science. They have great faith in science. Science will solve all our problems. What a joke. Once, science has created so many problems, actually. And we think we're making progress. By modern technological way of life, there are so many new problems, and then they make some new technology to solve the problem, and they advertise, see, we're solving all your problems. First they create a problem, and then they do something to solve it. That again creates another problem.